Chapter 17. The Strange Drawing. It was dinner time, Saturday night. Just a day had passed since Boom had brought the mer-baby home. Forget about the saying that Rome wasn't built in a day. So much can happen in 24 hours. Reality itself can change. Boom sat at the kitchen table, slurping a spoonful of chowder. The concoction contained more fish tails than usual, and something that looked like an eyeball floated at the surface. Despite the questionable ingredients, Boom ate because he felt famished. So much to do, so much to manage and worry about. He was burning calories like a racehorse. It was one thing to hide a sea creature in a bedroom, but it was another thing entirely to hide a banana tree that was sticking out through a roof. How would he explain that to Halvor? He had tried to sweep out all the sand, but had managed only to track it down the stairs. And to make matters worse, the seagull that had pecked at his sock was making a nest on top of the refrigerator with bits of toilet paper and string. Boom took another slurp, hoping to energize his brain cells. Think. Excuse me. But when the dinner hour had passed, Halvor had still not yet returned from his errands. Myrtle wandered downstairs with the baby bundled like a papoose in a pink blanket. She dipped a ladle into Halvor's chowder and fed the fish eyeballs to the mer-baby, who gobbled them away like they were scrumptious bits of floating marshmallow. So greedily did she eat that she gagged on one of the gelatinous orbs. Boom was afraid he might have to perform the Heimlich maneuver, but the baby managed to hack the eyeball free. It flew out of the tongueless mouth and landed in Boom's bowl. It did that on purpose, Boom accused, quick to notice the sly green smile. That's ridiculous, Myrtle defended. She was choking. Maybe, but in this entire kitchen, don't you think it's weird that the only place the coughed-up eyeball landed was in my bowl? That thing hates me. She's not a thing. She's a baby. Myrtle patted the blanket. Poor little mer-baby. She took a napkin and wiped the green mouth. Boom couldn't tell whether he felt angry that he was being left out or jealous that he was being left out. What did Myrtle have that he didn't have, besides the fact that she was female like the baby? If that was the reason the baby didn't like him, then that was a matter of discrimination, which Boom was pretty sure was against the law. Someone started to pound on the kitchen door. You'd better take it back upstairs, Boom advised as the pounding grew in intensity. Myrtle clutched the baby. Whoever it is, I wish they'd just go away, she said, hurrying upstairs. There it was again, the I wish. If only she'd follow those two words with something magnificent. Boom opened the door to find Mr. Mump waving a piece of white paper with red underlined marks all over it. I demand to speak to your father about neighborhood rules. His forehead glistened with sweat. He huffed and puffed and shoved the document in Boom's face. Rules, I say. Mr. Piles, another neighbor, stood behind Mr. Mump and began to complain that he couldn't back his car out of his driveway because the wheels kept slipping on banana peels. And Mrs. Filbert, another neighbor, complained that the hot pink house paint was giving her a migraine. They were so enraged that they actually started yelling at Boom and shaking their fists. He didn't know whether to apologize or to hide behind the door, but he did neither because the mer-baby started to sing again. The sad song crawled down the stairs like a creature from a nightmare and enveloped the angry neighbors. They stopped yelling as the song twisted itself around their limbs and slithered into their clothing. Mr. Mump shivered. Mrs. Filbert's eyes filled with tears. Mr. Piles's face went as slack as an empty balloon, and he turned as white as vanilla ice cream. The mer-baby hit a particularly low note like a foghorn that vibrated every bone in Boom's body. The only thing to do when attacked by pure, undiluted sadness is to get as far away from it as possible. That's why the neighbors turned and ran down the walkway. As soon as they reached Prosperity Street, the singing stopped. When it came to chasing people away, that song worked better than a vicious Doberman. I wish they'd just go away. Another wish granted. Another Myrtle wish. Winger pushed past Mr. Piles and charged up the walkway. Boom, what happened to your house? He asked, his words muffled by a mouthful of banana. You can see the pink glow all the way to my house. Once inside, Boom shut the door and got real close to Winger, like he always did when something really important needed to be said. It's still granting Myrtle's weird wishes, he informed his best friend. That stinks. Winger sat down at the table and offered the rest of his banana to Boom, but Boom wasn't hungry anymore. If it's not going to grant your wishes, then you should go ahead and sell it to a collector. I asked my dad. You what? You told your dad? Winger's dad knew everyone on Fairweather Island because he ran the island's only bank. Word about the mer-baby would spread like measles. I didn't tell my dad. Winger looked hurt, as though Boom had punched him in the stomach. I wouldn't do that. I just asked him what was the best way to sell something that's worth a lot of money. Oh, sorry. He said that by using the internet, a seller could set up an auction and people all over the world would bid. Boom had been to an auction once where one of Mr. Broom's paintings, a seascape with a two-masted sailing ship, had been for sale. Boom remembered the frenzy as people raised their hands and waved little signs when the auctioneer asked for bids. His dad had made twice as much money as he had expected, and they had all gone out to the Fairweather Bistro to celebrate. There had been fancy drinks with paper umbrellas and an ice cream dessert that the waiter actually lit on fire. Maybe I shouldn't sell it. What if it keeps granting wishes? Boom asked. Maybe it will start granting some good wishes. Maybe, but it's not granting your wishes, is it? No, it wasn't, the ungrateful little monster. It wasn't even being nice to Boom, spitting in his chowder, growling at and biting him. Was there a new pair of galactic kickers on Boom's feet? No, not even an old pair. Was he asking for the world on a silver platter? No, just a pair of shoes. Boom had saved the merbaby's life for goodness sake. What's that? Boom pointed to a piece of paper jutting out of Winger's pocket. Oh, I almost forgot, he said, unfolding the paper. I went to the print shop, just like Myrtle asked. I gave them the scale and they enlarged it. Look, there really is a drawing on the scale, and here it is. It was a drawing, all right, but Boom had no idea what it was a drawing of. A line ran across the page with a shape above that looked like a witch's hat and a shape below that looked like an upside-down witch's hat. But the hat on top was white surrounded by black, and the one on the bottom was black surrounded by white. A string of strange shapes lined the bottom edge, like hieroglyphics. The only thing he recognized was a little shape at the top of the drawing. It's a half moon. Winger nodded. It's weird, isn't it? Where's Myrtle? I've got to show her. She's upstairs. Boom held the paper closer. Myrtle had been right. She had actually seen something through the magnifying glass that wasn't her crazy imagination. But what was something like that doing on a merbaby's scale? The bedroom was dark except for the glow of the television. One of Myrtle's game shows was playing, the one where you kept answering correctly and you would win $1 million. Myrtle was smart enough to go on one of those shows, but she never would because she'd have to go beyond the dirt circle. I'll say that again. Myrtle was smart enough to go on one of those shows, but she never would because she'd have to go beyond the dirt circle. Myrtle lay in her bed, hidden beneath her comforter. How could a person spend so much time in bed? Didn't she know that people stayed in bed got bed sores? That would be something she wouldn't have to fake. The baby, on the other hand, sat perched at the end of the bed, her tail dripping green droplets onto the carpet. She stared at the television screen, her violet eyes widened to ping pong ball size. The light cast an eerie glow, and the blue-green scale sparkled with phosphorescence. The baby held the remote control and clicked steadily through the channels. The cable company had cut off cable service when Halver couldn't pay the bill, so the only channels that came in were the 3 that floated by the Broom's rooftop antenna. Boom and Winger made a wide arc, steering clear of the baby's spit trajectory. She watched them from the corner of a wet eye as they moved cautiously. Boom leaned over the bed. Myrtle? He asked. Myrtle? He slowly peeled back the corner of the comforter, but Myrtle pulled it out of his grip. Go away, I don't feel good. But Myrtle, Winger said, I went to the print shop. It's some kind of drawing, just like you said. Myrtle threw back the comforter, scrambled out of bed, and grabbed the paper from Winger's hand. She examined the drawing, not noticing that both Boom's and Winger's mouths had opened so wide that they were likely to catch flies. White fuzzies had sprouted all over Myrtle. They peeked out the ends of her sleeves and covered her neck. They poked out through her long brown hair like unplucked weeds. Wow, Winger said. Wow is right. This is an amazing drawing, Myrtle declared. Look at the detail. Such graceful lines. Myrtle? Boom interrupted. The black part of the drawing isn't solid. It's actually composed of teeny tiny dots. Did you notice that? She traced her finger over the drawing. Myrtle? And these symbols on the bottom look like some kind of writing. I bet it's the merbaby's language. Myrtle? What? Myrtle asked, scratching her neck. What's the matter with you two? Nothing's the matter with us, Boom said, pushing his sister toward the pink bedroom mirror. When Myrtle caught her reflection, she began to shriek. End of chapter 17.